Mm. All right.
All right.
Welcome. How y'all doing? First of all, who are we?
Yeah, start with you.
Yeah, I'm Anthony S. Goolsby, actor, improviser, comedian, thinker, philosopher.
Indeed. I'm Tray D.
We up here. Oh, keep going. No, but tell them.
Facilitator, speaker, author, dad, and minister. So that's right. Oh, and also AT alien, so all day.
Yeah. From the east side, I'm from Decatur.
I am from the east side too. We're both from the east side.
All day.
Yeah,
all day.
All day.
Just coming together. We are men that happen to be Black, categorized, and we read books, and we want to share what we read.
Indeed.
Who does that?
The idea is really to share what insights we have. Hopefully, if you like what we are reading, that you join us in the journey of reading. We try to read as many books as possible throughout the year, and we discuss them. So this comes about because we usually talk about every week about a book that we are reading together, sharing our insights, asking questions about it, some quibbles about what's being presented, and then going from there. So now you get a little bit of an insight of our conversation. Hopefully you can share with us in this particular journey and conversation.
Yeah, so we can get through the vicissitudes in life.
The vicissitudes.
Yeah, that's what I learned when I'm reading a book. You don't know what I mean? Look it up. It's in this book.
Remove the superfluities of life by simplifying your life. Yes. We can go through all of those if we want. So
made me think about like super water. When you said superfluities.
Yes. So the things that are superfluous in your life. So things you don't necessarily need. It's just like extra stuff.
Okay. Man, and we actually talked about this years ago.
Yeah.
That's what I realized.
For sure.
I don't know if it was about books. I think we were talking about being in a cafe and I don't know what we was thinking. Well, we have manifested this energy right now.
So this is episode 1.
Okay.
For the record. This is episode 1 for the record. By episode 2, we're gonna be even better. We'll just let you know. So let's keep it rocking.
Right. All right. So we're talking about As a Man Thinketh.
Yeah.
What Trey was talking about earlier is that we are reading, but the big thing that we're really doing is thinking, like thinking for ourselves and discussing the ideas that are in the book. I was telling him the other day that I have to empty my cup when I read. Like, so when I take in the information, I just say, okay, I'll just say truth. I just truth. And then I go in and start breaking down the sentences and saying, let's define what this means.
Right.
What this means. So this book is called, as an aphorism, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." And so just hearing that off the top, that's what we would start to discuss.
Yeah.
And I'll start there because that's where I'm at. And I was like, okay, let's say it's true. But at least that's where I started. I don't know how you started, but I know in my mind I was like, okay, if that's a true statement, what does that mean in his heart? What is his heart? How is a heart different from the mind? Okay, so maybe feelings. Maybe we're talking about feelings and emotions.
Yeah, seems like it.
So somebody who walks around like, man, life full of shit. I don't like none of this. This get on my nerve, guy. And then it's kind of like, well, maybe you should change how you feel or how you looking at something. And when you start there, and that's where it kind of begins, because I'm like, I'm this happy-go-lucky person, but I'm like, that's because I kind of choose to be like.
Yeah, have you always been like that?
My mama probably would say I was. She said I was a happy baby.
You were a happy baby?
I was a happy baby. And then she said my dad and our interactions.
Yeah. It kind of took something.
He was mad because I was happy. I'm talking to you, Daddy. No, well, I'm not playing, but we good. We're in a good place now.
Absolutely.
But at one point in my life, I know I was angry. I was just mad. But then that was like, what was I thinking? What was I doing? And so this is where this took me. And I was like, so right now in my life, how do I feel? And does my environment share this with me?
Right.
And it seems to be, because I'm pretty, when I'm high, I'm high. When I'm low, I'm low. High, I'm high. But I'm high, I'm up here a lot.
Yeah.
But when I take that it's like
Fast and steep.
fast and steep.
Gotcha.
And it's like the coyote in the air and the ground, you know, the clouds, Wile E. Coyote, the clouds there. He think he got the road runner. And he realizes, right.
Yeah.
That's where it starts for me.
That makes sense to me. And so I have this thing that a lot of times we can't change situations, right? And so there's some conversation on like what we can control, and most of the times is we can't necessarily control all the other things that are outside of us.
Right.
What we do have control over that, what I think about is that we have control of how we respond to things, or how we react to certain things, how we move. We have a lot of control over what we do, and sometimes we kind of forget about that. We are influenced in so many different ways. So when we talk about As A Man Thinketh, you know, it's about a lot of times how you're processing in my book, how you are, what meaning you are putting on things, what feelings you have attached to whatever the event is, and so on, because that's going to tell us how we're going to move. And so your thinking and your mind really takes everything else. I have a quote that I used for like every one of my talks. It's like that we live, lead, and experience life not from the outside in, but from the inside out. Simple, straightforward. It's always, everything is coming from within, even when we don't think it's happening. Even when you are reacting to someone else, it's coming from within them, not necessarily the situation. And so when we've discussed, like we could be in the same room and see the same thing supposedly, but experience it totally different.
Yep.
And we've been to comedy shows, we've been to movies, you know, we've been to different events, you know, concerts, and everybody's got a different angle, but also a different perspective, but also how they're taking in the show can be totally different. Some folks tell you it's great, right? It's the best thing ever. It's like, you know, it was kind of mid, right? You're like, that was Anita Baker, fam. Right. Nah, she was trash. Like, what? Why? So you get in those places, and I think that's something that we have to keep in mind and be cognizant of like how we think usually tells us how we're gonna see. Right. Yeah. Because I was like Chris Rock special. Have you seen it? No, I haven't seen it yet. All right, so I ain't gonna say nothing. Yeah, but Selective Outrage. Yeah. I've heard it was his best ever. Yeah. It's his worst ever. And I saw it, and I just saw him different. I'm not gonna go into that, but I saw him different. I could see both perspectives. Yeah. I understood both. Yeah. And you know, not everybody has a voice. You're gonna hear it all. Perception is the big thing. And so I think when the way we go about thinking about things, you said something that he said in this book comes from within. It comes from within, and most people have yet to examine themselves. Yeah, they're examining all these people around them. My boss full of it. Man, they got me working all these hours. I don't even want to do this thing. So why are you working there? Well, I gotta make money. How else am I supposed to make money? But you know that they don't want to deal with that choice, though. That choice is not, that's a little strong already to start for the first number one. But choice matters in a lot of different spaces that we forget. And sometimes we. What you mean by choice? What do you mean? We don't, like, basically we got choice in everything. Right. We just don't necessarily like the choice, the consequence of certain choices. Right. But the choice is still there. Correct. Right. You know, even if it's death, onto death, there is still and hurt, harm, or danger. Like there's still a choice in those matters. We just may not prefer that over the other choice. Right. So then we say, oh, there's no choice. Yeah, there's always choice. It's literally always. There's always choice. You just may not prefer one over the other. Right. Based on what you believe the consequences will be for you. For sure. And the way the universe has shown you the way things work, this is what happens. If you do this thing, I'll never forget my last job. I was working at this. That was a long time ago. It was 2015. 2015. I had one of those
what do you call them jobs? I mean, not a good paying, it was a good paying job.
Yeah.
And I remember I was fighting because I was making $16 an hour and I wanted to be making at least 21.
Okay.
At least.
Mm-hmm.
And they only raised it up to $18 an hour. But yet the position that I wanted to go to, they were taking, it was a two-man position, a two-person position. They took one person away and put more work in.
That's the move.
Didn't want to pay me more money.
That's the move.
And then what's that thing at the bottom of the job description thing where it's like it's subject to change or something?
Yeah, and other duties as assigned too. Yeah, that one right there.
Playing the game.
Yeah, they get you with that.
Right. So I done wrote up this whole, I done did my research. I done wrote up this whole thing and said, hey, I think I should be making this amount of money.
Yeah.
Long story short is they was like, no, we can't let you do that. At that point, I said, I gotta go. Yeah. And I remember this dude before I left, he was like, man, you sure that's what you want to do? And he looked at me like this, you sure that's what you want to do? And I was like, yeah. Now we was in the
you wasn't the boat, big dog.
Right.
Show.
Hey, I could see in the spotlight, he was like, dude, think about what you're doing.
This is a good job.
Good job.
This is a good job here.
Now let me tell you where we was. Now we were in the parking lot in his expedition, smoking.
Okay.
I wasn't even no smoker. I just knew at that point I was leaving.
Yeah.
So I was like, why not? Right. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Anyway, so just imagine that situation then. So now we flash forward to now, and I'm making my last gig, I made $150 an hour. What I'm saying is, had I still been there, I'm not making $150 an hour.
Yeah, man.
Period.
Yeah.
But my thought was, I'm about to go be this performer, this entertainer, out in the world, and I'm gonna make it. I got to.
You chose the risk, bro. That's what it is. I think that's what it sounds like. Like you chose the risk, and some people don't like to choose the risk. I think that's the challenge of a lot of things. You know, the message I sent out this morning was about comfort, and being really like as we continue to like pursue comfort, it can get a little interesting because that comfort will always be what we're pursuing.
Right.
In certain places, that comfort also can keep us where we are, and so comfort can just mutate into complacency, and then that complacency, of course, is not allowing us to grow in any particular place. You know, physically, spiritually, financially, vocationally.
Right.
So we in these spaces, you know. And most folks are like, they get a little comfortable and it's like, oh man, all my bills paid, I'm good. You know, my expedition paid off, I'm good. It got me a little, you know, I'm good, you know. And I think that's the crazy part. Like, you can't get in these modes of just like, you can. It's totally okay. You can get in these places where we can just be, oh yeah, I'm good. But you also have to figure out again what you're chasing after. Right. And that is if what you're chasing after doesn't align with what you actually are doing, right, fam.
Right. And he goes into that. He talks about thought. A man is not what he wants. I'm not saying that right.
Yeah, but what he wants, but what he attracts.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's what he is. Like everything that's around you is what you are.
Yeah.
So if you were complaining about everything around you, you might want to look at yourself.
True.
Going back to what you said about comfortability, there's this exercise my lady does. She's in yoga training. And so she was saying, lean back against the wall, we're going to stretch your leg. I was like, what you mean? So she grabbed my heel. So I'm literally against the wall. So she has my heel. She said that 50, they black and white. She was like, tell me when you're about at max. And I was like, oh, okay, right there. And she said, okay. So that's about as far as you go. I'm like, yeah. She's like, push down as hard as you can for 10 seconds. I was like, and she counted. And then when she was done, she picked my leg up. It went even further. And I was like, oh, right there. She's like, okay, 10 seconds. Push down hard. Push down for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
She came back up. Every time we did, my leg, I was almost up here with my leg. I'm saying that to say, if I just stayed comfortable and didn't put that pressure on, I can only stay to that level.
Man, that's a good word right there. That's a good word. That's a good word. That's a good word. That's a good word. But you're also talking about pressure and thresholds too, right? So like we got to be able to push ourselves, add that extra pressure so we can go to the next threshold.
True.
Like you thought you were at a space
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, nah, give me some pressure.
Right.
You put the pressure on just for a short amount of time. Ooh, that's a good word too, right there. Just for a short amount of time, then you were able to go a little bit further.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that's what's going on there, man. That's dope. That is dope to hear, man. We got to get people in those spaces where they can like, hey, you know what? I don't have the best socks on, so I'm not going to do what he just did. But yeah, just push a little bit more. Plus, my legs don't even go up that far, man. I can't do it. You know, maybe doing yoga. I'm not there yet.
Do it. Yeah, I'm telling y'all, get on that yoga.
I do. I got them at it.
Right, but that's the process, right? As you're thinking,
Very true.
you get
Very, very true.
But you're gonna get there. And so I feel like, oh man, you said something I wanted to jump on. It'll come back. Dang it. But it has to do with the pressure points, because
thresholds and pressure.
There it is.
Yeah.
So I had made a lot of so I act. If y'all don't know who I am, I act for a living, and I've done some things. And so I made a bunch of money. Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
He's done a bunch of things.
Yeah, I did a bunch of yeah. So we'll talk about that. But had a lot of money at one particular point.
Yeah.
And then I didn't. And I said, what just happened? Because I was in my manifestation mode. I was like, yo, I'm cool. It's gonna all come. That's the way it comes.
Yeah.
But I had so many opportunities to be planting seeds, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, oh no, I don't have to plant, because it'll plant itself. Like, that's where my manifestation mind went.
Mm-hmm.
You got to plant in those seasons when you are already up.
For sure.
But I'm saying that because the thought is the seed. Does that make sense? The thought is the seed, and then it manifests physically. So it comes from a mental plane of existence, and gets formed in the emotion and then the physicality of things.
Yeah.
And I think that we don't always trust. Let's back up. We don't trust the fruit that has come up. We was like, I didn't plant that, but you did though. You planted wherever you are right now. You did that. Not mama, not daddy, not sister, not cousin. You did that. Now you might have unconsciously did that, right? And that's where we put the blame on other. Well, I was raised this way. Oh no, go ahead.
Or you didn't make a conscious choice to change what you moved into. So sometimes it may not be that you made the choice, but you now are in it, and you made the choice to stay. Stay.
I don't know where I was gonna go with that.
Where you about to go?
With me. 'Cause you're all I need. No, don't.
No. Yeah, that's one of them, because because you've seen it. So sometimes we'll go to places where or we'll be in situations or be in a place in a particular condition, and we just, this is how it's been.
Right.
And so we stay right, because this is us, right? This is how we roll, right? This is how we do it. And no one's came and told us, or maybe we realize that it just doesn't, we don't know what else is out there. A lot of stuff, our life is so much about proximity. I think a lot of times when you are in these spaces, we date in proximity.
Right.
We usually hang out with people that are in proximity with that. Like when I talk about proximity, y'all, I'm thinking about lifestyle, views and viewpoints, character. Right. Sometimes economic, political. We usually have circles of proximity, which is what makes, kind of builds out particular networks. And so when and you can build a culture around that. There's a way that you speak. There's a way that you connect. There's some things that are tacit that we understand, shit that we don't say and we do say. And so sometimes we're being in these spaces and we just don't even know, because we haven't, because everything in our space is basically the same. Right. And it's just saying, and all we're doing is just mirroring mirroring the plot the plight of each other, right?
Right.
Oh man, you're in a terrible situation. Oh, me too, dog. I'm just waiting on the third, fam.
Right.
It's like I'm waiting on a Friday. And I think I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to understand that there's also expose yourself. We got to start exposing ourselves to things that are not necessarily in our normal.
Right. And not killing those things off.
Yeah.
People are afraid, it seems, of the unknown. For example, they're like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
The theory is that we are afraid of the unknown. But I heard something different. We're going to debunk that theory.
Okay.
Because if that's true, right? Babies come out the womb. Yeah, they come out crying.
Yes.
But now in life, they don't know a lot of stuff. You were way braver as a baby. You learn how to walk, not afraid to do certain things. You've been taught that. It's been programmed, right? Going back to thinking, you've been programmed to think a particular way. And so in order to break that line of thinking, you have to step outside of that line of thinking.
Yeah.
They say these people are this way, or perfect example. I'm just on my dad today, right? But that generation.
I didn't do it.
But
this is not in the script.
Right.
Sorry.
My dad's straight from Atlanta, right? He from Atlanta. He went to what's it called now? It's called a whole different school now, but it's off Wyman Street.
Harbor Archer.
Not Harbor Archer, the other Crim. He went to Crim.
Yeah, he went to Crim.
Which was called something different. Went Murphy High. Dad went to Murphy High.
Jeez.
Back in the day, straight ATL, right? So my dad does not like to go to the West Side. Period. I'm like, why? Well, you know how it is over there.
On the West Side.
What you mean?
Yeah.
They just us on the West Side.
Yeah.
But now the East Side moving on up. You know what I'm saying? You got the East Side Negro and the West Side Negro.
It was like that for a moment, though. At one point. Now it's like, oh no.
Right now we talking.
It's definitely.
It's just flipping up, right?
We got the Upper West Side now. Like, what's the Upper West Side, man? Okay, all right.
Right.
The East Side just like they just doing what they want to do over there.
Right.
All right. I'm sorry.
East Side needs to learn. But what I'm saying is there is this mentality that it's scarier, or I don't know about them. Go over there.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying in any place, in any area, north, south, east, west, you're gonna have your good and you're gonna have your bad, or the positive and the negative in each side. Yeah. So you have to step outside of the norm. You have to step outside of your comfort zone, right? Put that tension and then relax and see what happens. But that's where you begin. I just truly believe in thinking outside of the box. Think for good. I'm just throwing in people's. There's a tag right there. I'm gonna put that right there.
It's somewhere, right? Yeah, man. I think it is that thing around safety, or what we believe is safe. So what we believe is safe. And I think there is there may be more harm in staying in certain spaces than just taking a step. And we don't really, because but taking the step is just risky. Risky doesn't necessarily mean unsafe. It just means that there's going to be an opportunity that you have to weigh. I'll say it that way. Can
we use another word instead of risk?
Go for it.
I don't know, but I'm saying to me, like right. I'm just throwing it out there because when I think of a risk, I think there's a okay, we about that frequency and vibration where some people may call this dude is aggressive. Wait, maybe he's assertive. Because now we're taking the psychological point of view, because their words it means forget this. Anyway, I was reading a psychology book, and there's a term for what I'm saying right now, because when people give subjective adjectives are subjective, and since they are, you can't be objective with an individual because it's from the perception of the person assigning the word. So if you see a child who's very aggressive, no, he's assertive. This person right here is very manipulative. No, very persuasive. Right. Right. It's all about how you perceive it.
Yeah.
And so the way you deal with an aggressive person versus versus an assertive person is going to be two different things.
Yeah.
So that's why when I say risk, I'm like, is it a risk or is it
An opportunity?
I like it. I like opportunity.
So it's kind of like, that's when we think about it, like that's how we look at failure.
It is an opportunity.
That's when we look at like failures and things like that. Supposedly, failures are really just opportunity. Basically, it's an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
It's an opportunity to learn,
Mm-hmm.
or it's an opportunity for success. And maybe that's what the risk is.
Instead of risking failure, it's an opportunity for success.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean to stop you.
That's a good move, right? So that's what it is. That's literally what it is. So if we go in those space, if we hold on to that thought that it is absolutely an opportunity for success, you have to start taking those moments. But the safety says, stay right here. You're successful right here. You know this space.
Right.
But your opportunity for success, you don't see it as an opportunity for success. You see it as an opportunity for failure.
Oh God. When you said you know your space, it's like being a baby in the womb.
Yeah.
You knew that space, but you outgrew it. It was time to go. That umbilical cord that was your life force then means nothing now. It is actually inconsequential.
Yeah. You can walk you walked it dark. You had it so memorized. You don't even have you don't explore anything else. You don't need it. You have it so familiar. It's so familiar to you that you don't have to do anything. Right. So you just keep moving, and you constantly fed. It's safe. It feels comfortable. All right. So now I got to get out there and I got to take a couple steps and fall. Right. And then get back up. Take a couple more steps. Fall again. But each time I'm taking more steps. Right. And I'm getting better at what I'm getting better at. And at this point in time, you may be being programmed, because when you fall, somebody might be like, "Oh, baby. Oh, yes. Oh, baby, you okay?" Yeah. But there's conversation around that. They talked about, even in old parenting books, it was like, hey, how you respond is how they will respond. True. So if you blow it up, all they're doing is mimicking your pattern of behavior. Right. So if the child falls, I got two boys. When they fall, like you got, you run and catch the head, but you don't flip out. You slide, you baseball slide to catch the head, lift them back up, let them ride. And when they learn how to catch themselves, we're in a good space, but don't overreact. Right. And you start balling, they sitting there, now you got the mirror neurons going on and everything's firing. And they're like, something's wrong, right? Is it me or is it you? It don't matter. I'm crying. You crying, I'm crying. So we in the space. So that's what's happening, man. That's all. You got some highlights in there. What you got? Yeah. Jordan Peterson speaks about that whole thing about it's in Maps of Meaning in this first paragraph, and he's talking about there's so many different layers of perception that are going on. Yeah, concurrently. Yeah, absolutely. And I can't even go into that right now. Concurrently and just in conflict with each other. Right. So like even how we are even speaking and conversing right now, we're looking at the screen, like we still have different perspectives. We still have coming from different perspectives. Right. We're both from the East Side. We're both from Atlanta. We're both went to the same college. Boom. It's just but we still have different ways to look at it. So. Yep, we sure do. Yeah. And I'm gonna go into this. You were saying something. There was this idea here. It said men are anxious to improve their circumstances, but are unwilling to improve themselves. Then it says, therefore they remain bound. The man who does not shrink from self-crucifixion can never fail to accomplish the object upon which his heart is set. To me, that's called consistency. Read that again. Just the last sentence. The man who does not shrink from self-crucifixion can never fail to accomplish the object upon which his heart is set. Let me get this. Let me get right down there. The man who does not shrink from crucifixion
Right.
can never fail to accomplish the objective upon which his heart is set.
Right. So what your heart is set upon,
That's dope.
if you are willing to do what you need to do to get it,
Yeah.
you will always get it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I hear when we read that.
Yeah.
And it's true for me just because of where my life has brought me.
Yeah.
You know, from working the corporate job and then realizing that, because I remember thinking like, okay, all I have to do is got to do this for 20 years. I remember just this was the thought. I'm supposed to do this for 20 years.
Yep.
Then I can do what I really want to do.
Yeah. Man, I remember that moment.
3 months in.
You start. What? Oh, yeah. HR come in, they give you the papers. Oh yeah, I need that 401k. Let's get it.
Yep.
I'm gonna how much y'all match? Oh, just 0.5%. That's fine. That's fine. We're gonna make it happen. You know, that's cool. I'm gonna put all my money in and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I think time puts a little bit of time puts a lot of reality checks on us.
Man.
And so the conversation goes, wait a minute. So you start thinking, like, wait a minute, hold up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm 20 something now.
Mm-hmm.
Feel really good. Got a lot of vitality. We rocking.
Right.
Thinking I'm doing my thing.
Right.
Now, y'all want me to, so we're going to be working to now 67, 68, maybe 70.
We talking about hours?
No,
you talking about age?
To age.
Man.
Right? So, and it's like, and then guess what? That's when you get to enjoy life, they tell you. Like, hold up.
All right.
And what's the lifespan? What's the lifespan of folks? Average. About 75 years.
Right.
So you trying to tell me I'm probably gonna get maybe 5 to 10 years, 15 years of really enjoying when my knee probably is not as good as it was when I was in my 30s. Right. You know, I'm eating well the whole time. So now I got a little extra weight on me. I'm not doing well. So, you know, can't do too much. Not active. I'm sitting at the office all day. Man, do that. Yeah. And so we're in these spaces and we're like, oh, no, I don't know if that's going to be the move.
Nope.
I don't know that. But I also understand, but it can be for a lot of folks. I think we made some choices around the same time. It's like, hey, I think this is probably not going to be what I'm going to do. Right. And I think, you know what, every time I tried to go back, try to go back and get a job, I remember I'm like, man, maybe it's not working out. So I get a little nervous. Right. I would go back and try to find a job and they're like, nah, man, I think you're a little overqualified for what's going on. I was like, right. Tell that to Georgia Power. Georgia Power don't really care if I'm overqualified. They just want, if I could do the job in 15, I know it's a 40-hour job. Right. If I could do it in 15 hours, pay me. Just pay me for it. And then I could do other stuff. But no one really likes that idea in that space. So I think I would say think about where you are. Make sure that you understand that time is a friend and also an aggressor. Yeah. To us all, and we have to be on both sides and hang out with them when they in good moods and not so much. And remember, man, if you at your job and things ain't making sense, and it really logically does not make sense, why are we doing this extra work when we can do less work and get actually more output? Yeah, that's when you should probably start looking at yourself and what is it that you can do to start making your way out or up, whichever way that needs to be. Because for me, I'll never forget, this was pre-COVID. I was in a call center at the same job. It was a call center. Why can't we do this from home? Yeah. Did nobody want to do it from home? I don't know why. It saves on overhead. And now everybody's doing it from home. So ahead of my time. And the only time they did it was when Atlanta had the snowstorm that wasn't. Oh yeah. And then you can call in and then they tell you where to call and all that good stuff. Right. Because they end up giving us these headsets to take home. Boom. Yeah. And then I was attempting to do auditions and do both. Anyway, long story short, with that was I know my heart was set upon being an actor. And now I'm acting full time. Yep. Versus I would still be there, man. Yep.
And maybe some people can keep the job and act. I just wasn't the person. That's what I realized. It wasn't in my heart.
Yeah, well, you acting, I mean, you were acting then. You were acting like you wanted to be.
Hey, man.
You acting like you wanted to be. You coming in there on a regular basis. Okay, yeah, I'm got your headset going, talking. Yeah, you know, I don't know what you were selling, man.
Well, AC, which is hilarious. It was a Japanese company. I won't even go into the name of the company, but what was hilarious about that, I remember having to do a gig and I was about to quit. It was early on, a year and a half in, and I booked a gig at Horizon for a play called The Minotaur. I was like, this is my first main play. And I had to audition I had to rehearse during the daytime. And I was like, quit. So I told my manager, I was like, look, this is my situation. I don't know if y'all can work around it or not. She's like, okay, I got you. This is what we gonna do. And she taught me the game on like what I needed to say for those days that I was out.
Okay.
I loved it. I loved it in her. But let me tell you how that thing flipped. Now she know this is what I do. And so I was like, okay, I got this audition to do. And I need to do this tomorrow at 10. She's like, yeah, I don't think we could do that. I was like,
what you be? What?
Okay. And guess what I did? What was the game she gave me? Oh, personal. Have personal issues. It's personal. Whatever it was, because she taught me the game.
Got a personal matter I need to take care of.
Right. And then and attempted to use that against me. They tried to take my PTO, man.
No.
Hey, man. They lied. I
get it.
And but to this day, I know when I say this, it might come across a little shady, but I love that lady. To this day, I love her, because if she wasn't on my ass, if that tension wasn't pushing, I wouldn't have got my ass out of there. Because I was like, okay, I got to figure this out. I said, I got enough. I've been here for 4 years. I got the credit. I can buy a new car. I could do Uber. I'll do Uber for 2 years. And then hopefully by that time I'll blow. It took 3. It took 3.
But you did.
But I did.
Blow up.
Right. You talking about making $100?
Hey,
oh, go ahead.
I think Goolsby on TV. Yeah, man, that's him again. Man, Goolsby on TV again. Yeah, man, he over there doing the scoop. Yeah, man, he's on. Yeah, man, that's him. Dog. That's him, dog.
Hey, man, that
is hilarious. I remember when like I think he had like 4 or 5.
They were just running,
like running concurrently, and we were seeing them, and then I would be out of state. And folks would be like, and I'd be laughing. It's like, man, that dude's everywhere. I was like, yeah, that dude's everywhere. I just can't do nothing but be excited for it, man.
Hey, man, and I'm the goal is to be humble, period. But I'm proud of that. I'm proud that because the work I put in.
You should be.
Man.
You should be, man.
And now it's time to go to the next level. And now y'all probably like, what? Y'all ain't even talking about the book, but we are though.
We are talking about
it. It's the ideas that it presents in your mind. Here, let me just throw something. It's a lot of repetition though, because it's just telling you, it's like a man cannot directly choose his circumstances, but he can choose his thoughts, and so indirectly yet surely shape his circumstances. So not directly, but you're in a situation. They even talk. They talk about slaves, because I know somebody is like, well, what about your oppressor and the oppressed? It's in here.
Oh man, no, we're not gonna cut yet.
We ain't gonna cut.
We're not yet. Not the first episode.
Not yet.
No.
But so there can be no. Okay, no. Hold on. As he, again, it just keeps saying it. As he thinks, so he is. As he continues to think, so he remains.
Absolutely.
The truth. Well, all right. You said you don't want to go there. Well, should I read it? I'll read it.
Go ahead and read it.
The truth is that oppressor and slave are cooperators in ignorance.
See.
And while seeming to afflict each other, are in reality afflicting themselves.
Indeed.
Once you take the position of one, because nowadays, right, people could interpret that, well, man, we slave to the system. You got to go in and do this work. You got to do all these things. If you choose to play that game, you are now playing in that game.
You're participating, definitely.
Correct.
In the space. One thing about that also, I
Mhm.
want to, it's a little bit of a tangent, but the conversation around, I think in today's age, we have a lot of conversations that are focused on, or would that use that we're oversimplistic,
Mhm.
or we are
Mhm.
using crazy hyperbolic statements. And, you have a job. You have a job that is an exchange of time and effort, expertise, for a particular wage.
Correct.
That ain't slavery.
It is not.
So, and I think and this is why I have a thing about this. So that folks understand why that's really important. I think when you do that, when you say that, working at a particular place
Mhm.
and receiving a wage is equal to slavery,
Mhm.
I think we really diminish the horrendous atrocities of slavery. I understand that it is, it's unfortunate. Mm-hmm. It's not the best of conditions in certain spaces. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now there is wage theft. That's a whole different thing, mm-hmm. And connected. Or yet, I would say receiving a wage and slavery, not the same, never will be the same. I don't think we need to be using, and I understand we like to use colorful language. We like mm-hmm. to use we use words that allow for us to say, this is how impactful it's been.
Right.
That's why I laugh, they would have had to shoot me.
Right.
Everybody talk about when they were a slave.
Well, they would have had to shoot me.
Then they would have had to kill me. Well, I'm trying to tell you.
Let's hope.
Let's hope. I don't know. I just think that is something that we keep in mind. Sometimes we have to keep. That's my little stand up on the soapbox, do my thing.
Words are violence. I know we're not going there, but I'm just saying it's not the same. It's what he's saying. It's a false equivalency.
Yeah.
What's attempting to be done here is like understand what I'm saying. Okay. But it's not that.
Yeah.
It's just not that. So we have to keep in mind where are we going? Mm-hmm. What is the conversation really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw another thing in here real quick. Another word, because they said something about as the physically weak man can make himself strong by careful and patient training, mm-hmm. so the man of weak thoughts can make them strong by exercising himself in right thinking.
Yes.
Now so I don't particularly prefer the word right and wrong. That's me.
Okay.
And that's what I want to talk about too. What is right? Mm-hmm. I think right is something that is beneficial, like something that benefits you versus something that does not.
Okay.
So beneficial thinking.
So question, man.
Okay. Yeah.
Is right for you relative? Because it can benefit you, but may not necessarily benefit another.
Ooh.
So then the conversation is about ethics in certain spaces too.
All right. Well, So we got ethics over here. Beneficial to me in the way that right thinking here, when he says exercising himself.
Okay.
In beneficial thinking, but I see what you're saying. So in this way, if it's in right thinking there, I'm thinking it's a self.
Okay. I got you.
So if we use that word, because again, Dad, I'm using you utilizing. I love you. I love you so much. I love you because if anything, I'm just gonna keep it between like my dad and my daughter. Like those people, I can just really,
yes, sir.
Because we all have an understanding. Because my dad is all about right and wrong, and to me that's black and white, and I'm not black and white. I'm very gray, because when you come into black and white thinking,
you are very gray.
Yeah. When you come into black and white thinking, man, it gets real dangerous. To me,
it
can be.
It can be.
I think there are times where you like Captain America says, you a oak and you stand strong when everybody else is saying you're wrong, but you're right, you stay right. You know what I'm saying? I get that.
Yeah.
And in those times, that's when you are who you are. Those moments when you are oak, I feel like that's when you're supposed to be it. Anyway, the beneficial thinking, I think, is a way that helps you. I think when people think about things that don't benefit them mentally, then I feel like, well, let's think about it a different way. And I think sometimes we get stuck in the thought that, well, going back to what we said earlier, this is what it is, though.
Mhm.
Yeah, but that ain't what it has to be.
Yeah.
It's only that because you choose that.
Mm.
It's don't take the onus off of your choice. You get to choose to stay in that thought or not. And once you realize that your world can change, it's baby steps, but it can change.
Yeah. It is that feeling of, and I get it, is also like a feeling of helplessness. It could feel like things are being done to you, like you just feel like, you're being attacked at all different places, like you're suffocating, or you're being just basically bound by something. And I think so it doesn't feel like freedom, and I completely understand that. It doesn't feel like total freedom. Crazy thing about it, that's a conversation that some philosophers even talk about, like you need boundaries on freedom for it to be,
to be freedom.
To be freedom.
Okay, let's see where we're going.
So there's conversations around, so like because there's still a social contract that you're operating in. If everybody was able to be free to do whatever they wanted to do, that means that has there's something in there that we forget, that not everybody thinks in the same way that you do.
Right.
So their freedom to do whatever they want can be totally different from the freedom that you do whatever they want. They probably want the freedom to take whatever they want from you. Freedom has to have some sort of boundary.
Well, they say you can't have freedom without discipline.
That is also a boundary,
which is,
But it's a boundary that, or it's like it circumambulates us, like it surrounds us. It keeps us like, it's like you've seen those little those big balls that you can get in and it just roll down the hill. You see,
I see.
So it's kind of like that, like you roll and you flip it and flip you, and you free to, like you are absolutely moving freely,
right?
Within something that keeps you really safe,
right? But without that, then you probably gonna get hurt, fall, break something.
But you fall and you flipping, you got freedom,
right?
But I think what that does, that discipline and those boundaries that are necessary, is healthy boundaries. I think you have to have that so that your freedom can flourish,
which creates structure, right? So boundaries is structure.
Yeah.
And we can call boundaries. Boundaries is the good word to me, versus like fences and gates and defenses.
What about like scaffolding? I've used that a couple of times too.
Scaffolding.
Like as you are building whatever it is, trying to get to where it is, like you don't jump off the scaffolding. You still get to, you can move around. You can move around the whole building.
Right.
Everything that you're trying to build, when you jump off there, it can be in that same way. I'm just using different metaphors.
Yeah. There must structure and chaos are a lot like they work together in this thing, because freedom could be looked at as chaos if you wanted to really to call it what it is. And the structure of that thing, that's when you have that masculine energy represents structure, and feminine energy represents the chaos. Now we ain't got to get into all these other types. I'm gonna just say it for what it is. Within the womb, all these different elements are swirling around, and the structure begins to take form. And I think it's so dope because we have an opportunity to create what we choose to create. If you even think these thoughts, okay, I'm about to go somewhere, but let me read this one thought. Thoughts of doubt and fear never accomplish anything and never can. They always lead to failure.
Yeah.
Now, someone can say, no, man, because I got scared and made me think like, man, I need to go out here and do these things. Like it gives you an awareness. You would think the fear gave you an awareness or something.
Okay.
I'm all for that point of thinking. But in that moment, when you do get scared and certain things arise within you, it's the fearful way to go is not the defense mechanism that kicks in, is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I think fear, if it stays put when you don't need to stay put, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you could be scared straight, and something could hit you or whatever. Yep. I feel like sometimes, it's coming, and you've reacted and moved. You didn't doubt in that moment. You just did what you were supposed to do. Mm-hmm. However, the idea of doubt and fear, I think, is what I really agree on, because when we're out there we do flag football together.
Yeah.
If you out there and you start thinking about all this other stuff, you can't focus on the game. Yeah. I remember I said something because we were playing receiver. I was in the out, he was in the slot. And I said, man, this fucked up. This is so messed up. He's like, no, it ain't. I said something like, no, it ain't. Yeah. And I was like, he right.
Yes. Focus,
right. Focus up and just get aligned, because I don't think anger is had been a very big issue within myself, because that's how I chose to deal with situations that I felt, if I felt disrespected or I felt as if I had no control, the emotion of anger would reveal itself. Mm-hmm. And so now it's like, it's not, because now it's like, wait, why am I mad? Mm-hmm. Why am I mad?
It's good.
Where's that coming from?
Yeah.
They're upset at themselves. And so now they're attempting to make me feel the way they feel. Mm-hmm. That mirror response, going back to mirroring.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, no, I'm not going there.
Yeah.
Have to. Yeah, that's what I got from that.
Yeah. Let me see one. I think I saw.
Yeah, you can go on in there.
There's something I saw earlier. So it says here on 15, but to think well of all, to be cheerful with all, and to patiently learn to find the good in all. Such unselfish thoughts are the very portals of heaven.
Bless you. Oh, I thought you were about to sneeze. Bless him. Anyway.
That's all about seeking the good. Hopefully you can do that, man. I think we have this thing when we believe we're seeing patterns. Mm-hmm. We start to not see all of them. We start to see one or two patterns that we actually feel like, oh, that's a negative thing. I'm probably going to always see the negative thing, because I'm always going to see the negative. I'm focusing on the negative pattern.
Right.
Old mentors say, hey, listen, we got what we focus on. Mm-hmm. Where our focus goes, so shall our energy flow.
Right.
And every time we focus on the negative, it's a thing. We're gonna get more of it. Like even if you don't feel you're getting more of it, you're gonna focus on more of it. So even if it's something small,
right,
you're gonna blow it up. It's just gonna continue to happen. But the same thing happens when it's something that is joyful for your life, something that is helpful for your life, something that is pleasant. But even if it's small, you can blow that up, and you can start getting a little bit more of those things in your space. So I think that is the trippy part of just understanding where our focus goes. Now, the other part in that quote, patiently learning to find the good in all, is really important. I remember I texted some folks a while back. I don't know if you got that text. And I said, when I talked about like when you embrace people, you maybe remember that?
I don't know, man, my mind.
But the conversation, so it's basically, if you think about it, folks, you think about when you hug and you embrace somebody,
okay,
right? It's very difficult in that embrace to really see their flaws.
I would agree.
Right? Physically, it's very difficult to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great metaphor for like when you really are embracing someone, you are coming together as one. Mm-hmm. Like you can see where they've been and you can see where they are right now. right? But you don't see all the extra pain. You can see some of it, right? Depending on how treacherous it was, you can see that. But the moment in these spaces when you're really embracing, all you're doing is just holding them where they are right now. Like they're not, that's the whole past that you're seeing. That's not even right now. They're in your embracing that moment.
Right now.
And people have to remember that when you are working with people, when you are in particular relationships, like that embracing of where they are right now is, and being able to see the good in that moment, it's going to be much more powerful than you like, oh man, I can't, they done did this and I can't get that to that place. And I've seen where they've been. And it's like, dude, we got 3 seconds for presence. That's it. We get 3 seconds, then boom, another 3 seconds. That's the way I start looking at it. You're going to be in 3 seconds of presence all the time. And you start racking those up. You can be really mindful of how you're thinking, what you're thinking about, who you're connecting to, I was in a school, and our instructors had this phrase, "Where are your feet?" And I use it all the time now, man.
Yeah.
Where are your feet? And it's just basically making sure that you're just being mindful of the moments. We sometimes just take the moments for granted. And those moments make memories. Right. And that's what we keep doing. We got to keep making sure that we make memories. I wish I was be like, how Will was. Will Smith used to talk about how he can make this moment like spectacular. He said that in his book. He's making some spectacular moments.
Right.
I think that's a great word, by the way. Spectacular. He said spectacular or remarkable.
Right.
He didn't say it was going to be great.
Right.
He said spectacular or remarkable. And I think he's had a spectacular and remarkable couple of moments.
Yeah, I would agree.
But I think that's where we are right now, man.
Yeah, I think we end on that only because, well, one, I said I was going to be done at a particular time. Okay. And I'm normally over talking. So this has been a great talk. Yeah. I don't know what we're going to do next week yet. Yeah. We might talk about this again. I don't know. Yep. But this has been real good, man.
I agree.
I'm gonna walk on away with the 3 M's: making memory, making moment making memories. This is what I'm saying. Memory making moments. Memory making, and so this is one right now.
For sure.
Because I remember when we first was talking about this. Y'all don't understand. It's been, I want to say 10 years. I think I was married when we brought this up before.
Yeah.
I think I was, and we were like, we'll figure it out, and then.
Then life hit us. We're like,
right. Me and Trey, we'll probably talk like the last 2 years, we've probably been more consistent.
We're talking about every week, just about.
Right. But before that, it'd be like a year, it'd be like 2 months. But it's always, we pick it right back up.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we know I know what I'm thinking. And I feel like we mind meld. We might even do some improv games on here for y'all too. I don't know.
I think that can be good. Last thing I want to actually just inspire me to say something though. Okay, so cool. It's that. Oh man,
it's coming. Just cut me off next time.
What you say? What did you say?
About improv, about
before that
memory moment making memory.
Before that, there it is. So we waited. It was 10 years. One of the most interesting things for us, and this is something that is really, really powerful to keep in mind, just to prepare yourself. That anytime we have an intention, we should be prepared for disruption.
Preparation.
So it's like, and there's been plenty of times you can probably think about it. We got to close. We'll come back on this, but think about it. Like when you said, I'm about to do something, and then they like, something happens.
Right.
And it's just like, what the heck? I know I'm focusing on this. Like, I know I got to study. All of a sudden, your favorite show about to come on, or you can't find your keys, or like it's just something. It could be something real small, or it can be I'm about to go take this next gig. And they're like, guess what? You can't take the day off.
Right. But what are you focused on?
Yeah,
goes back to what you said. What are you? Why is that thing? Why did this thing interrupt the thing that you were supposed? Where were your feet?
Yep.
You might think you face in one way, and really. It's still programmed in another way.
For sure.
But you can break it.
Yeah.
Hey man, I recommend this. James Allen, as a man thinketh. All right, see y'all next week.
See y'all. Be well, y'all.
I love it.